Where are you going? Why are you trying to escape? Helmet snails, Clithon coronas, zebra Nerite snails. If you have any of them, at some point you might notice that they will actively trying to escape from your tank. Why do they do this? And how should you stop them? Let's talk about this. I will go straight to the point. We are not talking today about pest snails. So the snails that can very quickly become a problem or even a plague in your tank. We are talking about the snails that we buy for their looks, for their cleaning abilities, or just to make our tanks look more interesting. And those kinds of aquarium snails usually shouldn't try to escape from our tanks. But usually doesn't mean never. If you noticed your snails climbing above the water surface from time to time, this is not a big deal. Nerite snails are very curious creatures and they might just feel adventurous or want to explore a little bit. However, if they stay out of the tank for a long time or their trips happen constantly, there might be a reason for this, and you should look into it. So here's my list of 5 most common reasons for the snails to escape from your tank. Number 1. Incorrect water parameters. Snails can be quite sensitive when it comes to water parameters. I have an impression that it's quite common misconception that regarding water parameters you should focus on the fish and that's it. But snails, they will be fine. They are just snails, right? Well, no. Snails can be very sensitive and also have their requirements about pH, temperature, hardness, and so on. And on top of this, they like those parameters to be stable. In case of very fast parameter changes, you can be sure that your snails will try to escape and find more suitable environment for themselves. I will not go into the specific requirements for individual species of snails because there are simply too many of them. But if you have an escaping snail problem, look into the requirements of your snails and try to meet those requirements as closely as you can. Number 2. Tank conditions. Very similar to the previous point, but not exactly the same. Snails don't tolerate toxic water in your tank. So it's not about pH or temperature. It's about high levels of ammonia, nitrates, nitrites, and so on. Just because they can eat uneaten food, decaying leaves, or other rotting biomass, doesn't mean they will tolerate dirty tank or water. They are not dirty animals. So if your water parameters are correct, but your snails still try to escape, check the water quality. All the living things in your tank will thank you for this. Number 3. Food. Starving snails is not something that you hear very often. But just because they eat algae and food leftovers doesn't mean that you never have to feed them. If you have a lot of snails in your tank and it's very clean, there is a good chance that they simply are struggling to find enough food. And in that situation, snails will simply look for alternative food sources outside of your tank. To mitigate that, you can always throw them some lettuce, spinach, cucumber, or even algae wafers. Number 4. Tank mates. Snails in general are usually very peaceful. Snails very often do their own thing, they don't bother any other animals, they spend their day looking for food and cleaning our tanks. But it doesn't work both ways. There are many fish or other animals, they will treat the snails as their prey, and when snails will detect hostile environment, they will simply use their animal instinct and try to escape from it. To avoid this, always make sure that all animals you keep together are comparable and can live together in peace. Number 5. Overpopulation. Snails do not like overcrowded tanks. Nobody does. It might sound a little bit weird because I'm sure you heard about snails invasions, but they can actually feel a bit stressed when they feel that there are too many animals around them. They do need some space for themselves, so try to adjust the number of snails to the tank size that you have. This is also connected to the previous points. More snails require more food, so there is a bigger chance that there will be not enough. But the more food you have in your tank, the bigger the chances that the water conditions may suffer. So always make sure that your tank can actually support your entire colony of snails. Of course, this list is not complete and there might be other reasons for the snails to escape. But to minimize the chances of this happening, remember those few basic rules. Keep your water clean. When you are planning to keep snails, take their requirements also into consideration. Make sure they always have something to eat. Keep the numbers of your snails reasonable and make sure that all living creatures in your tank are comparable with each other. This should minimize the number of escape attempts but will not eliminate them completely. So if you are worried, you can always use the lid on your tank. If you have any more suggestions, please let us all know in the comments. It's always great to learn something new. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.